For this IV integration, we're going to learn how to reparent the mind. You can find this IV integration on ivintegration.blogspot.com under the title How to Reparent the Mind. Let's dive in. From ages 0 to 5 years old, we are a sponge, and we take in the thinking habits of the parent, the teacher, the environment, the ideology, and culture that we're in. Those thinking habits become our core beliefs. And depending on what those thinking habits are for, let's say, our mother or the caretaker that we spend vast majority time with, it decides our self-concept. And our self-concept as an adult, I see it as two ways. You are assured beauty or you're uninsured beauty. And the beliefs you carry determine that. For example, there could be a core belief. I am embarrassed of my ethnicity because my parent or primary caretaker had a lot of shame for his or her ethnicity. So that became my core belief as an adult, and that also formed my self-concept. So that self-concept, we could say, is more of unassured beauty in the way that I don't feel entirely supported, protected, and led for my ethnicity. So therefore, I'm more going to hide. I'm not going to really shine. I'm not really going to stand up. And I'm just not really going to allow myself to excel because of that core belief. So the one thing about adults and children that makes them, we can say, different is that adults, they believe that they are not assured beauty. So when we don't feel we're assured beauty, what happens is that we start to hustle, we start to force, or we start to, our self-importance, we want it to dominate, we're desperate, we're lonely, we basically feel that people are out to get us, we don't trust ourselves, we don't trust the process, and therefore we accumulate wealth, we are not very generous, and all these kinds of things that we do. That's very rigid, it's very unnatural, okay? It is very unnatural for us to believe that we are unassured beauty. The difference between that mindset and the mindset of the child is the child believes they are assured beauty. And why is that? The child has a connection to the subtle field. And this subtle field is known also as the spiritual realm. And that spiritual realm, subtle field, basically nature, it connects them to the ways of nature. And the ways of nature are pretty simple and pretty clear. Nature is supportive, protective, and gives guidance to all earthlings. To excel is provided by nature. Now, as adults, when we step away from nature, we begin to disconnect. We no longer carry what is most natural for a child, the ways of nature. So then we feel isolated, we feel divided, we feel separate, and therefore we feel like we have to force life to provide for us, okay? So how to reparent the mind is getting in touch with the root mantra. And that root mantra is assured beauty. I am assured beauty. And that is the natural rhythm of nature. If nature had the belief of the human mind, the adult mind, of I am unassured beauty, nature would not be able to excel and succeed in the longevity. Nature has been here for a very, very long time because the root mantra, I'm assured beauty, has basically guaranteed that all organisms, earthlings, will excel. And to excel, we say out there in nature, is not a hustle, a competition, a contrast, a force of my will upon you, a domination, accumulation, fear, basically. Nature, in the way of nature that children are very connected to, because they're very connected to their sensitivity, is light and sound. And that's the first expression of the child. And that is the root mantra, the light and sound. So as a child, before reading and writing, we had an expression. And that expression a lot of adults didn't really understand unless the adults were also connected to this subtle body expression. That nature, trees, and vast majority of species on this planet share that common language. It's light and sound. That is our first expression as a human being, and then we start to adapt to the collective ideology, which is reading and writing is our main primary way of communicating with each other. But before that, light and sound was our ability to connect with that spiritual realm, to receive support, protection, and guidance. So children, we could say, are the ambassadors for happiness, what it means to be strong and healthy. Children, they don't carry a belief. They don't separate, divide, group, isolate, judge. They only begin to do that when they start to take on the belief in the human mind, which is given from thinking habits from the parent and the caretakers, the teachers, the environment. So from 0 to 5, we are basically living in our root mantra, and either that is encouraged by our parents or not determines how long we are going to stay in that root mantra. So if we're in an environment where our parent is very discouraging of that root mantra, which we'll get into a little bit of what that is, that's really going to decide if we deny that part of ourselves, okay? And if the parent is encouraging of that, we accept that part of ourselves. So let's look at that root mantra. So that root mantra is very much, I like to say, nature, okay? The light and sound of nature, the rhythm of nature. So when we look at nature, again, it is through light and sound that everything is exchanging communication. You can say like a celestial communication that everything has with each other, and it's very subtle. And that's why adults, we don't understand this, because we're all in the human mind and all the games and the illusions and the judgments and the disconnect that we have with our sensory awareness that children have very heightened to them. So that root mantra is self-healing. So any belief we have that's not self-healing is not a root mantra. I like to call it a childhood mantra. You could say a thinking habit that became a belief for us. Self-healing is about expansion. It is about joy. It is soothing. So let's look at the childhood mantra. For example, I am too weak to be a ballet dancer. Is there expansion in that? Is it soothing? Is there joy in that? No, it is confining. And that's what the human mind is. A belief in the human mind is confining. Okay, we are restraining, restricting, limiting ourselves. So a root mantra, okay, to that same expression, okay, is I am using divine will. So I am using divine will, that root mantra. Okay. That is basically similar to the way of nature. I'm using my divine will. So in the ebb, which nature has an ebb, where there's a time of, you can say, uncertainty or time of weakness, divine will is I am using my sense of assured beauty to grow. I am using my assured beauty. So any root mantra is about I am assured beauty. So you can, in the whole self-psychology of that, all of the we can say the affirmations, okay, and reparenting the mind away from the childhood thinking habit that can be confining, restricting, restraining, and so, therefore sabotaging ourselves because we don't feel worthy because of that childhood belief. Remedying that is any affirmation that comes through you is assured beauty. That's getting back to that root mantra. So we know a little about that root mantra. We know about assured beauty. We know about the childhood belief that's very much I am not assured beauty. Therefore, my ethnicity, my status, my economic status, my social status has me confined, restrained, restricted, that kind of thing. Therefore, I'm not assured. I'm not assured beauty. I have to force it and demand, conquer, and do all these sort of mind games to get myself ahead. Okay, so that root mantra, and we see it in so many philosophies, I am assured beauty, is a sound, a light that reunites you to what it is to be soothing, what it is to be expansive, and what it is to be joyful. So when you are in your day-to-day, okay, your core belief will show up in the decisions you make, because a part of that core belief is it is subconscious. Okay, I call it the basement of our life, because the basement represents our childhood. Okay, kind of like a treasure chest in our basement of all our toys that we used to play with when we were a little kid. Okay, so that represents that subconscious. So when we see in our environment the decisions we make, okay, even the people we have around us, we need to ask ourselves, is this soothing, is this expansive, is this joyful? And is my mind stream connecting with a belief, okay, even in my career, even in my relationship, that's soothing, expansive, and joyful? So what that looks like is, instead of challenge, such as I am weak, that is a challenge, okay, that whole I am too weak to be a ballet dancer, the revision of that is I am divine will, or I am liberating. So when you can see the difference in that expression of yourself, when you get into that self-psychology, you can see the difference of that. And you can see that in that I am liberating, you can feel soothing, you can feel expansion, you can feel joy in the knowing that you are assured beauty. Therefore, you don't feel so heavy and burdensome and feel so like entrapped by life. When you see children, what are they? They're free. Every adult will say a child is free. They're native, they're free, and that's just who they are. But when we get into an adult, we think, oh, that's unimportant, that's irrelevant, I don't need that part of myself anymore, I'm just going to kind of deny it, I'm just going to kind of like leave it in the basement where it belongs, and I'm just going to complete my tasks. Get a job, get a wife, husband, get a car, get vacation leave, get this, get that, and just complete the task of life. So with that belief, the reason we're all, we could say, going into the deeper layers of ourself, and you say in self-psychology, is that the belief is not necessarily the way that helps us to better feel alive. Okay, so as an adult, like, we see the adults start to look very, some of them look really haggard, and then the kids look very free. Why is that? That belief sometimes isn't our way to feeling more alive. So children are all about, I want to feel alive. And alive isn't just, there's kids in crises right now, where there's bombs going on, okay? But those kids are, I feel alive, and a part of that I feel alive with that root mantra is, the adult belief is, this is too far gone, pessimism, it's already, just forget about it, we're all gonna die anyways, okay? And the child is, let me use divine will, let me use liberation, because that gives them more feeling of being alive, okay? More feeling of, I'm soothing myself, I'm connecting with joy, I'm connecting with expansion. And that is what it means to grow. Nature is at times very violent and at times very peaceful, but nature is always in a state of change, and change is kind of like to say very intimidating and very intense. Okay, it is very intimidating, it's very intense. You can see the animals when they know winter's about to come, and they're all scrambling trying to find food so that they can survive the cold winter. It's intense, it's intimidating when snow's coming. Okay, I'm a bear, I need to go find as much food as possible because it's coming. Okay? There is a level of like haste, and there's a level of surrender, and there's a level of, you got to be feeling supported and protected and guided, or you're just not gonna make it. And as adults, we have more of a voice of, I'm not gonna make it, than a voice of, I am supported, I'm protected, and I'm guided by nature. And basically, nature to a bear is like my instinct, my intuition. I can sense. Every species has an instinct, has an intuition. I can sense the honey. I can sense the river. I can sense the predator. I can just sense. And that has to do with connecting with that subtle field where you can sense. Your feeling body is very awakened. And that feeling body, that basically your spiritual body, is your manifestation. So the bear manifests through that, following on that feeling body, which is also that sense of being in tune with nature. So with this IV integration, I gave you a root mantra, okay? That's it's Apsai Hoa, Sache Da, Sacha Doa, Hada, Hada, Hada. And that, I like to say, is a root mantra in the way that it is soothing, it's expansive, it's joyful. And that mantra is very much about being supported, protected, and guided by nature. Or we can say the spiritual realm, we can say consciousness. And consciousness wants us to excel. Consciousness doesn't want to be stuck and trapped and stagnant and in the negative energy, dense and low vibe. No, consciousness wants to experience. Consciousness wants to live. Consciousness wants to be alive. And to be alive, as adults are recognizing, doesn't necessarily, having a belief that you hold dear to yourself does not necessarily mean you feel alive, especially if that belief takes away expansion, takes away what is soothing, takes away from what is joy. So we can use that mantra 11 minutes in the morning, right when we wake, okay? Moments after we wake, we can just sit down, we can lay down, and we can find a little sacred space with a candle early in the morning, like maybe 5 a.m. or whenever the sun is, right, this before the sunset, you could say, 4 a.m., even 3 a.m., okay? You say it earlier, it is. We could say we could say more magnetic that practice will be, okay? So it's not only this mantra you can use, you can also come up with your own. I say root mantra, all of us as a child have a root mantra, and I say assured beauty because every child mantra, okay, when you say from 0 to 5, every child has a root mantra. You can just sense it from them. And usually they're all, whatever affirmation they use is all like the rivers lead to the ocean, and it's all brought to I am assured beauty. There's a level I trust myself, I listen to myself, I heal myself, I accept myself, I accept others with compassion, I have discernment. Basically, my beauty is assured, basically gives you the wealth of Mother Earth, gives you the wealth of the universe. I trust myself, I listen to myself, I heal myself, I have discernment, I have compassion, I know when to let go, I set myself free, I liberate, I use divine will, I'm motivated, I'm inspired. All of those words I gave you, what does it make you feel? It makes you feel alive. It makes you feel alive. So when we reparent the mind, basically what we're doing is we're installing, you could say, affirmations, okay, which I recommend you come up with your own, and just your own self-psychology of really looking at a core belief that has pulled, okay, and you'll easily, what core belief are you living by? Mind game, I could say mind game you're playing that's pulling you away from joy, that's pulling you away from expansion, such as, stepping out, stepping forward, overcoming fear, taking the initiative, trusting your manifestation, up-leveling yourself, and what's pulling you away from what is soothing. We're talking about what is soothing is what is self-correcting, what is constructive and creative for you. All things constructive, corrective and creative are very soothing for the human. Okay? So you just gotta look at that core belief and reshape it. Okay? Invite that root mantra, like when you're a child, where you feel your beauty is very assured and you're very radiant because you know your beauty's assured, regardless of you're Asian, you're black, you're white, here, there, you feel very assured, and therefore you feel very confident, and your self-concept is all about I'm soothing myself, I'm expanding myself, I'm inviting joy, I'm liberating I'm feeling alive, okay, in the ebb and the flow. I'm finding my way, because nature is very violent and at times, and nature is very peaceful at times, and it's all about I'm finding my way. I'm finding my way. I'm finding my way. So what that does, that root mantra, I'm finding my way. I'm feeling assured beauty everywhere inside of me. My to excel is assured. Victory is assured. But abundance is assured. Manifestation is assured. Find that affirmation that brings you closer to joy, brings you closer to expansion, brings you closer to what it is to soothe yourself and to be soothing. So this is a journey with yourself, but this is kind of, I like to say, a map, okay, of how to go about that. So this IV integration, how to reparent the mind, is more of a map, but you have to fill in your own sort of affirmation. You have to do the self-psychology and find that core belief, okay, that pulls you away from joy, from what is soothing, from what is expansive, basically that pulls you away from the child who's very much about manifestation. I'm visionary, I'm liberated, I'm here to feel alive, I'm here to be moved and to move. That's the child. Whatever pulls you away from that natural, rhythmic, native spirit, very connected to the spiritual realm and all the ancestors, all the guides, all the high wisdom, the wealth of the universe, you gotta look at that. And you gotta rewrite that. You gotta reparent that. Reparent that. So from 0 to 5, connect with that 0 to 5 and really look at your self-expression, that light and sound you had before you could read and write. Connect with that essence, we can say, and really ignite that within you right now. So for me, from 0 to 5, my assured beauty affirmation, my root mantra is, I am extremely enthusiastic. From 0 to 5, I was always very enthusiastic, always very creative. So that root mantra is basically my way of soothing myself, of expanding myself, and of bringing joy into my life. And that is what's most natural for me as a unique individual. And that is what also connected me to, we can say, the spiritual realm, was that root mantra of, I am enthusiastic, I'm very creative, and that's what basically helps me through the ebb and what helps me to better flow in the flow. So you need to find from 0 to 5, what is it, that root mantra, that helps you in the ebb and in the flow, that helps you to have expansion, to self-soothe, to have joy. It's going to be different for every single person, because our root mantra, like there's so many mantras out there, we are all unique and special. And finding that special niche, whatever that is going to be the monumental transformation within your, you could say, your self-psychology, to really can be simple. Like I said, mine is so simple, and yet I feel alive when I recite that. Very much like reciting a mantra, reciting it. So you can use Apsai Hoa, okay, because it is a light in sound, and you can say it's a light language that's very much given from nature. It's transcribed, okay, by a human, but it is a language that's out there in nature right now. It's just we can't hear it because we don't have that level of sensitivity anymore as human, but it is going on all the time. Nature has so many mantras, and we of human transcribe that usually as Sanskrit. We call it early pre-language, okay, early pre-language, where basically what we did was sound. So we would chant just sounds that we would hear in our head. You could even do that to connect with a root mantra, just, connect with tribal sounds, native sounds, even ma. Ma is mama. It's a very natural, it's a language from nature. Ma representing the moon, Ra, okay, representing that sun. And it's all an early pre-language expression that we've had lot longer on this planet than what we call is like English and Spanish and German. We've had this expression a lot longer than the reading and writing that we have today. When we look at the whole view, we've had this light and sound as our primary language, if we really look at the bigger picture of humankind for a very long time. Okay? And that light and sound was basically you just being deep in your expression, okay? Deep in your expression, deep in that radiance, deep in that assured beauty. And that assured beauty, you didn't need to like be loud or noisy. You didn't need to chat or to really express and communicate, articulate yourself. You were just so in tune with that root mantra, like the trees, that everybody can just sense. Whenever, the sensitivity of the environment does sense you. And your vibration, you can say, became your message, your manifestation of your self-concept out into earth, shared with other earthlings, we could say. So I wanted to dive into this how to heal, reparent the mind. Okay, so overall, the child has a lot to do with how we reparent the mind and all the belief of the human mind games that we play with all the facades, and we're always lacking, we're always desperate and lonely and isolated, separate, judgmental. All of that kind of stuff just confuses us makes manifestation confusing, makes everything confusing. Okay, so that confusion, we can really simplify it and get, when we really connect with that root mantra. And that, again, is your journey. I gave you Upsai Hoa, Sache Da, Sache Doa, but you can also connect with your own. It could even be a song. It can even be a sound that you hear in your meditation. Whatever it is, it could be I am authentic, I am enthusiastic and creative, and that's what sees me through. Find whatever sees you through, whatever sees you through to excellence, okay, in a very natural and very supported, protected, and guided way, because that is what is going to make us more feel most alive than the belief of I'm not assured beauty, and then I'm just going to have to do all these mind games to actually get where I want to go, and then I get where I want to go, and then I'm still even more confused. Okay? So, may this bless your life, and Satnam.